just love that music. Well, you know, when you hear that beautiful song, that is the opening for the Raymond Hall show. And I want to welcome you to another live show for Mr. Raymond Hall, who's on his way. So we want you all to sit back and get ready to take some information because he's going to be talking about what's happening for Veterans Day. And, you know, Veterans Day is very important to Mr. Hall because he is a veteran. He is a Marine, and he has served many years serving the community. Not only did he serve in the Marines, but he's been serving in Washington, D.C. as a senior legislator for the seniors, and he brought back some information last week through the telephone on what was happening, or something about the different proposals. So if you want to call and get some more information on what Mr. Hall is talking about, make sure you call us today live on 323-293-3375. We'd like to hear from you. And after Mr. Raymond Hall gets here, he's going to give you all of his personal information so you can contact him directly. As you know, Veterans Day is very important, and we want to give honor to all of the veterans who have served not only in the Vietnam, but also in World War I, World War II, Desert Storm. And there's a few others that I don't remember or recall. My dad was a veteran. He served in the Navy. And so shout out to you, Daddy. Rest in peace. And all of those who have had family members, we, give you a shout out for blessings that have been in the service. And I don't want to take too much time, but I want Miss Felicia to know, have some music ready, girl, because I'm probably going to have to run out of talking after a minute. But we are here in the Morris Media Studios, beautiful studio in the city of Leimert Park. And we want you to know, if you have a show idea, you can call that number, 323-293-3375. That's the hotline number. But she'll give her number probably later for Morris Media Studios, okay? Because great rates, okay? So if you're looking for a place to do your show, contact Morris Media Studios. So while we're waiting for Mr. Hall, I want to also talk about November the 10th at the golf course on Century and Western Avenue, the Maggie Hathaway Golf Course. There's going to be a golf day there for the youth. They're going to be teaching them how to golf and face painting. I believe Sean Brown was here a few weeks ago, and this is a venture that he's doing on behalf of Union Bank at the Maggie Hathaway Golf Course. It's a par, I think 3 or whatever, it's 9 holes. And if you want any more information about that, ask Mr. Hall because he was his guest and he will have information on that. Also, there's an event coming up at our church. I'm a member of Los Angeles Community Church, 106th and Hoover. We're having a benefit for St. Martin in the Caribbean. There was the Hurricane Irma came through there a few months ago and kind of wiped out some things. So the church that we're associated with in St. Martin is going to be able to receive some donations from this benefit concert coming up this Sunday. But I see we have a phone caller on, and we want to put our earphones on so I can hear the phone caller. So hello, phone caller.
This is Derek Williams.
Hi, Derek Williams.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
So talk to us. What brings you into the Raymond Hall show today?
I was calling in, being a veteran and calling for Veterans Day, and we're talking about just things for veterans to, that benefit veterans. And so I'm just starting my business. And so I'm going through the process of trying to learn what it takes to become a veteran service connected business.
So now I understand there was a conference today on that very thing. Were you there?
Yeah, I did go in and I got some information, and basically about contracts with the U.S. government versus being a primary contractor versus a small business what they call a subcontractor. Okay. And so there was just giving some information, and there's actually, it's called the PTAC office. Okay. And the PTAC office actually will walk veterans through the whole process of becoming a subcontractor and being a veteran service business.
That's awesome. So what type of business are you considering going into?
I do hypnotherapy. So my business is a service business, and it just helps people to deal with, it's like life change, life development. So if you're struggling in certain areas of life, you want to move forward, you want to progress. And so I help people to change their thoughts and beliefs around that particular topic, because what we believe we become.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole idea is to get you to imagine and to dream again and to believe it so that you can move towards it.
That's awesome. Now, hypnotherapy. So do you put the watch in the front of their face and say, follow this watch back and forth? How does your hypnotherapy work?
Yeah, I don't do that, but that is a technique. Basically, it's to get people to relax.
Uh-huh.
The one thing that we all have is we have a lot of stress in our lives.
Tell me about it.
So what hypnotherapy helps you do, it helps you to become relaxed and silence your conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes our mind just talks and it runs with these wild stories that it tells ourselves, and we stress out as a result of it.
Wow, I think I know what you're talking about. I kind of feel that way myself, but I've never been in the service. But just being in the Los Angeles area, sometimes you can, see a lot of things that will stress you out, hear a lot of things on television and news and things like that. So how long have you been in this particular line of business?
I've been in the personal development business for over 20 years. I've been exposed to hypnotherapy probably within the last 10 years, but I just within the last year and a half began utilizing that particular specialty to help people move past or to reduce stress or to move forward.
Excellent. So what branch of service were you in?
I was in two branches, actually. I was actually in the United States Marine Corps for 8 years, active duty, deployed a few times. Then I decided to get out, and then I was out for 7 years, and then I missed the camaraderie that you really only get in the military, and so I went into the Army Reserves, and I just recently in May retired and leaving it for the young people now. I've had enough.
Well, you sound like you're not too much over 30 yourself, huh?
Well, you could add, almost a couple decades past that,
Oh, my goodness. You sound very strong and young. That's great. Well, will you be able to come into the studio and maybe present what you do and show us how that happens, or what? What do you think about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's something that a lot of people don't really understand what it is. And so between Hollywood and watching movies, there's a lot of mysticism around it.
Right.
But really, it's actually it's a therapeutic practice that goes back way to the days of Kemet. Even in the pyramids, they had what was called the sleep temples, and that was over 5,000 years ago.
What?
And so it's a thing that when you relax, even if you get so stressed, when you relax, that's when the answers come to you. And so I do a lot of teaching on what it is and what it isn't. In fact, everyone goes into hypnosis at minimum twice a day, at minimum.
And they don't even know it, right?
Yeah, that half an hour before you go to sleep.
Okay.
When you kind of half up, you kind of half sleep. You kind of know what's going on, but then at the same time you don't. You're relaxed. You're actually in a hypnotic state.
Okay.
People who play sports and go into what we call the zone, they're actually in a hypnotic state and people look at them and go, wow, they're on fire. You play basketball, they're like, they're on fire. They're unconscious because their conscious mind is shut down, but subconsciously they're doing everything that they knew. They're just enjoying that feeling and going along. And so that's what hypnosis is. It's your subconscious mind that's guiding you at that particular moment.
That's awesome.
Have you ever been driving and you just drove 20 miles and don't even remember getting home?
Well, maybe a little something like that. I don't think I've driven that many miles. But I know how your mind can be in such a thought, and you're just seeming like not even paying attention, but thank God you were guided home safely. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right. That's your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is paying attention, but your conscious mind is zoned out.
That's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful. Yeah. So what brought you or what led you into this type of a field of study?
Well, I was in the ministry for over 12 years. I've been a mentor and a life coach. And so the one question that was hard for me to get answered was, why do we have such a difficult time doing what we know we're supposed to be doing? It's like we know we're supposed to do A, but we keep doing B.
Oh, boy.
Right? And so when I would talk to my pastor and other spiritual leaders and go, well, I don't understand it. They'd be like, well, you just got to have faith. And I'm like, well, I'm talking to you because I'm struggling, you know?
Okay.
And you know, they'd be like, well, Paul says this. I go, okay, I got what Paul said, but I'm saying, well, I don't understand why. And even in psychology, you know, like I would try to get answers, and no one could find a rhyme or reason as to why. Well, when I became exposed to hypnotherapy, it was the only modality that explained to me why.
Wow.
And the reason why is because we have a subconscious programming. And whatever you believe or whatever your programming is, your subconscious mind actually rules 88% of your decision-making. So what that means is the average human being makes over 60,000 different decisions a day, subconsciously.
Wait a minute. 60 what?
60,000 decisions a day. If you actually think about how many decisions you make from the moment you get up to the moment you go to sleep, it's over 60,000 different decisions a day. And that's of the things that you know.
That's wild.
For example, you don't think about breathing, right?
No, unless I need to try to meditate and concentrate on that breathing. But no, I don't. It just happens.
Right. And when you bite into an apple, right? You don't chew into the apple until the apple digests the food, and once it's digested, it's send the vitamin A where it needs to go, the vitamin C where it needs to go. You know, that's all done subconsciously.
Okay, it just goes.
So, but consciously, where our willpower is, where our logic is, where our reasoning, where our decision-making, that's only 12% of the process. So you can logically know that you shouldn't be eating that fried chicken, right? Because your doctor told you not to. But subconsciously, you remember mama's fried chicken, and it brings the feeling to you. And so now you have a debate. Should I eat this chicken or should I not?
Oh, boy.
So 12% of the time, you're going to do what you're supposed to do. But 88% of the time, guess what? You're going to say, you know what? I've been eating well. Now I'm going to eat me some fried chicken, and then you overdo it.
Wait a minute. You said 12% of the time we do what we're supposed to do.
Logically.
Logically.
Well, I should say consciously. So, but the programming is going to, it's like a computer, right? So if you have a computer programming, then the program does what it's supposed to do. It works in the background.
Okay.
You know, and that's what it is. And so we have a subconscious programming that, if we don't change it, is going to continue to give us the same results.
That's major.
Even though consciously we know we're supposed to change it. So the question is, well, how do I change it? And then that's where I come in. I can help you as we work together with a team, because it's a habit. That's all it is.
That's right, breaking habits, right.
Exactly.
So now,
whatever you're in the habit of doing, then that's what you're going to do. 88% of the time.
That's a major percentage, too. So now, will your services be primarily toward veterans, or will it be for people that are in the community and just need the services as well? How would that be rated?
Well, currently, my services are available to anyone who is seeking change. Down the line, then the intent is to focus towards veterans. And the reason being is because while, you know, the reason being is veterans are committing suicide at almost a 9% rate with PTSD. And that's for the veterans who are not seeking help through the VA. Now, of the veterans who are actually seeking help through the VA, they're committing suicide at a rate of almost 39%.
Wait. So the ones who are not seeking help are committing suicide at 9%?
Correct.
The ones who are seeking help are committing suicide at 39%?
You heard me correctly.
So can I ask you what's wrong with that picture?
Yeah. So what happens is because veterans, when you have any kind of trauma, and right now I'm just talking about veterans with service-connected PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is the body will, the mind will put in defense mechanisms to help that particular individual, even though they may be struggling. So when they come back and they're giving medication, they're giving all these different things, but then in order for them to receive their disability compensation, they have to talk to psychologists about the trauma over and over and over and over in order to be to get their disability rating. So what's happening is veterans are going home with their disability rating, but that proverbial door is now open and they can't close it. And so that's the reason for the spike in the suicide rate. And so when you look at a lot of our veterans who are struggling, the homeless population is just off the charts. Suicide is off the charts. And then that's not even talking about the ones who are just not able to be as productive and active in their own lives, in their own communities. So I believe that, as a veteran who's also service-connected PTSD, and hypnotherapy has helped me to be able to get them to a point where, that we're able to be productive in our families, in our careers, in our communities, thereby making, everything making this country actually a better country.
Of course.
You have a lot of veterans who are not able to be a part of that.
So how many people do you think you could reach on a daily basis and help them?
Me as obviously on one person, probably 6 to 8. But my plan is to have a wellness center.
Okay.
And have more than one wellness center. And see as many as we can. In the different wellness centers. And the hope is to get more hypnotherapists to focus on veterans. And so the more that I'm able to provide a space for hypnotherapy, and not just hypnotherapy, but because I'm going to use other modalities, but the more that I can employ hypnotherapists to help veterans, then maybe that's a viable career choice that some people, can take versus going the way of becoming maybe a psychologist or even a life coach, and because all that is part of hypnotherapy.
So when you talked about the door is left open, how do you close that door? How can that door be closed when you're dealing with a person of that, in therapy like that? How does the door get closed?
Well, each person is different. So, you try to see, like, what were the triggers. Like, some people's triggers are greater than others. And so, just to give you, like, an idea of how it works, psychology, for the most part, deals with the cause. Hypnotherapy deals with behavior.
Okay.
So, so for example, if a person is triggered by something, then I can work with them in their subconscious mind to desensitize or to reduce that trigger. So by reducing the trigger, then they will be able to relieve stress, anxiety, and by being less triggered, then they're able to be at a better place mentally, emotionally, and possibly spiritually.
Now, have you been downtown in the area that they call Skid Row? Have you been down there?
I've been down there, not as the capacity as a hypnotherapist, but I have been down there because one of the things is, as a hypnotherapist, in order to work with someone with any medical diagnosis, then you have to have a referral from the psychologist or the psychoanalyst. So you can't just go and just start saying, "Hey, I'm a hypnotherapist. You got PTSD. Let me help you."
You can't do that?
No, you cannot do that.
Is there like a law? It's legal?
Yeah.
Oh.
Legally, a hypnotherapist must work in accordance with a medical professional. You know, so when I focus on the wellness center, then the veterans will be coming with the referral that's mandated by law.
Mm-hmm. So that I was going to say, like, how would this be, taking place? Is it in a group session, or does it have to be one-on-one?
Both. Ideally, one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do what you call generalized hypnosis sessions.
Okay.
Because just reducing stress. I mean, this is just for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a country that is so high in stress, it's ridiculous.
That's a shame.
And stress is the number one killer. It is actually the cause of most of our diseases and everything else that happens. So just getting someone to be able to relax, that just will have benefits beyond measure, so you can go to sleep.
Wow.
A lot of us don't even get a good night's sleep. We lay down, but we don't rest. So hypnotherapy is, and so for things like that, for what we call avocational, basically for a professional development, basically like things that help you with your work or things that help you with your personal development, we don't need a medical referral for.
Okay.
So if you just need to, for example, let's say you want to quit smoking, okay, then hypnotherapy is very effective for that.
Okay.
Let's say you have fears or phobias. We can help you with that. Let's say one of my clients that I'm working with now, we're stopping self-sabotaging behavior. She has a fear of success.
I've heard that. Explain that to me. I've heard that many years ago, and I didn't quite understand it, and I don't know if I really comprehend it now, but tell me about that.
About the fear of
success.
So oftentimes that is usually rooted. Well, let me backtrack and say this. You know how no matter how old we get, we always feel like a little child to a certain degree? You know what I mean? So, and
okay.
You're laughing, so I guess you can relate to what I'm talking about.
Yeah, grow up, Crystal. Go ahead.
And that's everybody. But the reason is because between the ages of 0 and 12, that's when our personalities are formed. That's when our defense mechanisms are formed. And so, like, I'll be 50, but if my programming was done when my main programming was done by the age of 12, then I'm a 50-year-old operating on a 12-year-old programming. So depending on how my parents raised me, they instilled confidence in me. If they made me feel like I was nothing and I'm never going to be nothing, and and I have all this negative programming. Then as I get older, and while I may no longer live with my parents, then I take over the role of the abuser. If that makes sense. So now, instead of my parents being the ones that's holding me back, I will self-sabotage myself because that's my norm. I'm used to being somebody has to hold me back because I've always been held back, and so now that there's nobody to hold me back, then I become the one who holds myself back.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous. And I sabotage myself. And I don't understand why. Because it's a pattern. It was my programming.
So it's based on what you were programmed to do between 0 and 12.
That's the core of it. But as we grow, we still change. But most of what we learn will usually reinforce what we were taught. And then some of us get fortunate and are exposed to something that helps us get over some of the things. But your core programming is your core program.
Amazing.
And because everything that we do, it seeks to reinforce what we already know. That's why oftentimes when you can talk to someone who's in an abusive relationship, whether it's mentally or physically, and then you say to that person, you know, why are you staying in a relationship? That person will tell you all the reasons why they know they should get out. You know, it's not like they're oblivious, but they're so accustomed to being in an abusive relationship, and they know how to survive. They're more afraid of what life will be on the other side because they have no, you know,
no experience on what life is without abuse.
Right.
Wow.
Will I ever find somebody to love me? You know, what is this fool going to do if I leave him? You know, you come up with all these stories to help you stay, even though you know
you need to leave.
That you're supposed to go. But 88% of you is accustomed to being in an abusive relationship, and that's where you stay until the pain of change outweighs the pain of staying the same.
Well, when I was asking you about group versus single, you know, what can be done in a group, because I know I used to go out on Fridays to the Skid Row area and actually sing out on the street. We worked with the ministry out there. They set the piano up and the microphone, and I would sing for at least an hour and singing, you know, old songs like gospel, because I'm a gospel musician and artist. So I did that for a period of about 9 months. And, you know, I got a lot of people who were just seeming like totally tuned out of their head, tuned out of their mind. But when they would hear those old gospel songs, they would just stop and they would, you know, just listen for a while. And next thing you know, they're like crying and, you know, they start dancing and stuff because they remembered growing up hearing these songs or going to church and experiencing something like that. And so I realized that that's a very powerful tool, and it's a great opportunity to go out and sing. And they serve sandwiches and things after the fact, but the main thing was the music did something to their soul. And that's what we experience in church or you know, wherever you are, singing one of those old songs, you know, that we came up singing. You know, it really brought in a rejoicing time. And I mean, we set the chairs up and they would stop with their baskets or whatever they had and just sit there and just really go into that zone, if you will, of remembering what it felt like. And so it kind of became too much for me because, you know, at one point it was in June, around that first part of the month of June, where the money came and they began to buy those drugs, and it was some spice or whatever they had out there. And this particular day, man, it was a person about a few feet away. I'm singing and playing the piano, and all of a sudden the lady goes, "Hurry up, call 911. He's having a seizure. Oh my God, oh my God." And I'm like, oh God. And so I kind of kept singing, and I had to stop singing and start praying. And then after a few more minutes, there was another guy on the ground, a big old guy. He had fell out on the ground, and here was the paramedics after him, and there was paramedics down the street. It became like a crazy place all of a sudden, and it just was too much for me to deal with. I said, Lord, I can't handle this. You know, I just cannot keep this in my spirit, because I don't live down there, but I would go there to do the ministry, but it just started weighing on my spirit. And so I haven't really been there since June to sing, but I ran across a few people that have seen me and said, "Hey, you used to go downtown." Matter of fact, it was a lady. I think I saw her just yesterday or the day before. And she said, you used to come down and sing. Oh, wow. You know, we really enjoyed that. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm planning on coming back, but I don't want to go down there by myself as a singer, because, you know, you need your group to go out. It's like we take a group of people out, but, I would advise people who have that gift in ministry, you know, just go out. And a young lady would bring her flute. She started playing the flute. It just became a real good thing. But it can be very taxing on the brain and the mind to really deal in that arena. So I would love to see what you do, you know, be done in a group session. So I don't know how Mr. Hall met you, but hopefully you left him your information, or he knows how to contact you.
Oh yeah. He got me on the bat phone, and I got him on my bat phone. So, but yeah, and you're absolutely right. So for me, like the challenge with what I do is that, you know, that there has to be a level of like with singing, like even if a person doesn't want to be open to it, it's kind of like, you know, if they stay within, they have to listen. You know what I mean? It's like, other than that, you just got to get up and move, you know, if you don't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
So with a hypnotherapy, there has to be a certain mood that allows the people to relax. So if there's a lot of different noises going on, or like people can be easily distracted, you know what I mean, and brought up out of that relaxation mode. So that's the thing of kind of trying to control it. But the one thing I can do is I can help you because we're energies of being. We're beings of energy, I should say. So what that means is, like, we give off energy, but we also receive energy. So as you're giving off that energy and you're ministering and you're serving them with your music and your gift, then you're transforming their energy and their state of being, right? But now if a person is being negative and it's coming back to you and you're receiving that negativity, then it can bring you down. But there's actually techniques that I can teach you that will block their energy from entering into you. Which is oftentimes, even when I'm helping clients, you know, like some of the stuff that I deal with, you know, as a person, it could bring me down. So the thing is, I have to do from time to time little different, what we call anchors, so that I'm able to stay objective and without any judgment or criticism. And I have to block that energy. And some people come up very, very negative. But I have to keep my poker face on. And I can't, and I have to treat them as if I'm treating, you know, my own son. You know, with love, without judgment, without condemnation. And I have to take in but block their energy and give them my energy of love.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And that's part of the challenge.
So are you looking for new clients?
Hey, I'm always looking for new clients.
Well, if you don't mind, give us your number and an email address, whatever you have available that you would like the public to know, so they can reach you and contact you personally. Okay.
Yes. Again, my name is Derek Williams, and my business is Focus to Hypnosis. And I can be reached at focus2hypnosis@gmail.com. And I will, my website should be up within the next couple weeks. So I'm working on that. But, and I'm in Long Beach, California, is where my office is.
Okay. Is that Focus to Hypnosis? Is that the word TO or the number 2?
The number 2.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Focus, the number 2.
Hypnosis @gmail.com.
Okay, and hypnosis is HYPNOSIS?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, focus, the number 2, hypnosis @gmail.com. So I'm going to suggest you all contact him, Derek Williams. Is that correct?
Yes.
Derek Williams. He's in the Long Beach area. So I guess you take forms of, if it's a referral, now, you can only take referrals, or do they have to be under medical attention?
No. The only time I need referrals is if it's something that has a medical origin. In other words, if you are diagnosed, and if the thing that you're seeking treatment for has a medical origin, then I need a referral.
Okay.
But like, for example, let's say you have PTSD.
Yes.
But you come to me not for your PTSD. You come to me because you want to, say, have a better relationship, you know, with your wife. Well, then I can do what I call relationship therapy.
Okay.
Because it's not dealing with your PTSD.
Okay. So if it's PTSD, and is that only for those who have served in the military?
No. Anybody diagnosed with PTSD. The question is whether or not if they've been diagnosed with it.
Okay.
Because, you know, if you're on the freeway and you see somebody get hit by a bus, you know, you can get PTSD. It's just trauma, you know.
Okay.
It's how you are after trauma. But when you're diagnosed with it, meaning that you have a medical diagnosis, then if you want me to assist with that, then I would just have to get a referral from your doctor.
Okay.
But anything else that you want to improve upon, it could be sports, it could be, you know, your job, it could be having a better attitude, releasing anger, fears, phobias, stop smoking, you know, lose weight, you know, that's all based in your mind. You know.
Sounds beautiful. That sounds beautiful. Well, I know Mr. Hall had another guest on about a month ago, and he dealt with, I think, some of the same things that you were talking about. And when he was talking about that door being open, you know, and how to close that door, that was very interesting because we have, you know, even in our family, we have family members and they have issues. They have real issues mentally, and some of them are spiritually bound, you know, as they say, with demons. And so we go to church and we pray, but then there's something you're saying we can say to them to help close those doors, or something that we can do. How would you maybe suggest that for a parent or a family member that is dealing with somebody that's seemingly mad in the head?
Yeah. Well, the thing is the person, you know, is like the old saying says, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's what it is. It's not that I'm closing the door or that you can close the door on someone else, but when a person sincerely wants help and they buy into the process, you know, and they do the work that's necessary. It's not a magic pill like, hey, I just can push this door. It's like, no, it takes work. Just like if you're going to make any kind of every habit that you have, the reason it's a habit is because you've been doing something repetitively over a period of time to the point that it becomes subconscious. And that's the thing is, so with hypnotherapy, it helps you to start in the right direction, but you got to put action to your thoughts. You got to put action to your beliefs. And the more and more that you do it, then the more and more it becomes a habit. And so it's just, but the person has to be open and willing to the process and be ready to do the work. That's why there's a lot of life coaching and psychology that's part of it.
Yes.
Because now, you know, if we're working on stuff, then I'm going to give you assignments and hold you accountable. You know, and if you don't do the assignments, then guess what? We talk about that. We deal with that. Okay, why are you not doing it? You know, so it's not no one come and get a hypno session and all of a sudden I'm cured of all my problems. No,
it's a process. It's a process.
Yeah, I wish it was. Then I'd be a billionaire and I'd be helping everybody in the world. It was that easy.
Definitely. We need to see more of what you do taking place in our communities, even in our schools, in our neighborhoods, in our churches, because there's a lot going on and people are not really talking about what's happening, but they're acting out. So you can see that there's a problem here. It's obvious, but how do you approach a person? So, I mean, your whole message and service that you're doing is definitely needful. And I don't know I'm sure it's not free, but we would definitely love to see some type of a group session that could really encourage people to seek out this type of healing and deliverance, if you will. So, Well, I don't know if Mr. Hall has anyone else that's calling in. So I'm going to tell you, thank you so very much for calling. And we're going to take a music break. And we'll look to be in touch with you. I did put your email in my brain. So I will be definitely contacting you. And we'll look forward to meeting you soon, okay?
All right. I look forward to meeting you as well. And thank you so much for the time.
All right, dear. Peace and blessings.
All right. God bless.
All right, so you have been listening to Mr. Derek Williams, and we'll be right back with more of The Raymond Hall Show.
we'll do it now. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Raymond Hall, finally, with the Raymond Hall Show.
Yay,
I want to thank everyone. This has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful year. We only have a few minutes. First of all, I need to thank Miss Crystal Davis for standing in
welcome.
and sitting in, and the engineer, Miss Felicia Morris, and everyone. I want to wish everyone a happy Veterans Day that's coming up this weekend. It's actually on the 11th, but there's some people are celebrating it on the 10th. And the Marine Corps 242nd birthday, my brother reminded me, is on the 10th, but people are celebrating it on the 9th and making it a holiday. Mm-hmm. So to those Marines, simplify, and to all those who served actively, just happy Veterans Day. I got a special shout out to a couple of people. We want to thank all of the people up there at the 77th Street Division. They are serving, as well as all of the other police officers and first responders and everyone else. But that 77th Street is special to me, that they are always serving and taking care of people in the community. So we want to thank them. Special shout out to all of the people that take care of. They had me pulled from one place to another. I had a special guest that was part of the reentry system for veterans, but because it's a late notice, we're not going to be able to do that today. But we want to give a special shout out to all of those people who work with the various systems that welcome veterans back into the community here in California. It's part of the AB 109 system, but because we go over, it may be something different in your community. We definitely want to thank all of the people who are serving today.
Yes.
We to thank them for serving today. Not only the people that are serving, but we want to thank their families, because it's something to have a loved one. You know, when in my period of service, people served for Lent and then they came home and that was it. But now the young people that are serving today, they serve and at home for a period and then go back. I'm not going to comment on it, but that is a very difficult and challenging situation with that. So we want to thank them. I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't share this with you. I got out of service in November of 1973. We were coming back from the California Senior Legislature last week.
Okay, right.
And Southwest Airlines.
Okay.
They ain't gave me a dime, but I'm going to plug them anyway. All right. But this young stewardess, she saw the cap and she says, well, thank you for your service. I said, yes. She said, well, when did you serve? And I told her. And I saw them gathering, and with all of the bad things going on, I'm, oh, God, they finna throw me off the plane. I ain't even did nothing. And so when I got to my seat, she gets on the mic and she says, ladies and gentlemen, we have a veteran and an active service person on the plane, and we should recognize their service. And they shake my hand, and then all of the plane starts clapping, thinking in the 40, almost 50 years of service, no one has recognized the service in that way. So, so I'm going to say things are changing.
Yes.
We want to give a shout out to Healthy African American Families. They had an event this weekend, and the Department of Veteran Administration from West LA was there.
Oh, good.
I said something to people that was true, and is still true today. Back in the day, I'm telling it like it was. The VA was just the VA. It had no allegiance to serving veterans. This was their job. That was it. You come in there, and it was what it was. But the VA has changed. Now, I'm not saying that it's the best. I'm not saying that it's picture perfect or anything else, but it's better than what it was in the 70s.
People like you have made it that way.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, here's the difference. The difference is, unless you go back into the VA, you won't know that. You're still stuck with the memory of what it was 70 or 80 years ago. The Vietnam and the Vietnam era veteran, we're now older. We're that senior population. We're the ones that's in our 60s, 70s, and those kind of things. It's important for you to address the issues that you may have, health-wise, service-connected-wise, not only for you, but for your family.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this broadcast, I'm a veteran. I'm a service-connected veteran, and I'm saying to you, I had my battles and still do have my battles with the VA. It ain't all nice and nice. Every now and then you have to check some of them because they trying to check you. Okay, and it ain't
fight
just
for your rights.
It's like, wait a
veteran
minute,
rights.
hold on a minute. You don't get to talk to me like that.
Right on.
I don't even let them call me Raymond. I'm 65 years old. You put a handle on that.
Hey.
Like some folk used to say, you put some draws on this situation. Okay. I'm going down the lane another way. Anyway, what I'm saying to you is this. I want you to look at your discharge. I've said it and I'm saying it again for Veterans Day. Look at your discharge. It reads that you are discharged under conditions of honor from active military service. The reason I don't want you to go into a corner and say, well, I'm black, I'm brown, I'm this, it didn't do this, it didn't do that. I don't want you to go down that street. The street is a true street, but color. I'm not saying that's not the purpose for this conversation. The discharge reads, discharge from active military service. So what you need to do is remember, you're not discharged from service. You're discharged from active military service. So you are required to continue in service. Continue in service on your street. Continue in service on your block.
That's right.
See what the people did in service through this recent election. I'm not commenting politically one way or another, but they just put in some service, and that service is what made a difference. You can make a difference with your service.
Most definitely.
So this Veterans Day, and for each and every Veterans Day to come, remember the difference is you and the service that you give. Okay.
Yes,
Miss Crystal.
Yeah.
Any parting words?
I'm just happy to be here with you, and I love your hat, U.S. Marine Corps veteran.
Thank you.
And I want to give a shout out to you for your service and those that have served with you and the work that you're doing here. It's very, very informative and it's very important.
Well, thank you so very much. And to everyone who helps us along the way, your service is important too. So we want to thank you. We want to thank Mr. Johnny Morris. We want to thank Miss Felicia Morris.
Yes.
We want to thank all of the people, Healthy African American Families, someone that's important to that organization. They had a family member that had a health concern, so a big shout out. I might as well just say it. Miss Loretta, a big shout out to you. Hope you're feeling better.
Yes.
Everybody have a great day. Coming week, we're going to have the California Senior Legislature. Remember last week I was in Sacramento.
I mentioned that earlier.
And they posted the 7 proposals that's made it. So in the coming weeks, we're going to have that report of what are the 10 priorities. Now, we need you to get involved.
I was just going to say, get involved. Yes.
And make sure your assembly person know that you want to support those proposals out of the CSL. That's how we get things done. So your support counts. Your service matters. And we know our banner, service, a different conversation. We can talk about one thing, but when we put that work in, that's an altogether different thing. So we thank the Department of Veterans Affairs. We thank all of those VSO officers. A big shout out to my friends up there on the orthopedic lab, the Jazz Man, who always makes sure things is happening up there in Long Beach. It's just so much on this Veterans Day. Make sure you remember to tell somebody, thank them for their service. I posted earlier that if they're not here, just call their name and in your heart thank them for their service. So many people. This nation is built on service, and what makes that service unique is we move past any of the barriers, personal barriers that we have to still make a contribution of service. So we are going to sign off with that. Look like we've run out of minutes here. We're going to sign off with that. Each and every one of you, thank you for your service. Thank you for the service of your families and your friends and your neighbors. Let someone know that they are important to you.
Yes.
Make a difference. We want to thank you for tuning in to the Raymond Hall Show, and we want to thank our guest host, Miss Crystal Davis.
Thank you, dear.
And thank the studio once again, Morris Media Studios, who have some dynamic programming that speaks to the diversity of the community. Yes. So we want to thank them, and we want to thank my mentor and friend, Mr. Johnny Morris. With that said, we thank you. We love you. Yes. This is the Raymond Hall Show, and we're out. Follow us on Facebook.
Yes.
Twitter.